Nerds, in today's episode, we are going to react to the historic events of this week with the Capitol insurrection by the MAGAs. Never thought I'd see this. I actually had tweeted that, hey, there's only 2 weeks till the inauguration. What more damage can Donald Trump do? Well, the man never disappoints in some ways. But before we get into it, let's ask Andrew to warm us up. Warm it up. Warm it up, Andrew. Let's do it. Come on, Jin.
There's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and Drew, come roll with the gang gang. Drew gang gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew gang gang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew gang gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, it's and Drew, come roll with the gang gang.
Hello, nerds. Nerds for humanity. Frankly, nerds for America. Nerds for law and order. Nerds for no more freaking Trump. Golly, what a week we have had. Welcome to everybody joining this live stream, or if you're watching us on replay, nice to see you from the past. Where's everybody joining us from? As you guys, many of you know, I am coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area, the heart of MAGA country. Not quite, but certainly if you drive further enough east, you can definitely see some MAGA signs. I saw it myself just the other day. Looks like we've got Santa Monica, California. Lucky you, Sugar Sweet. Sydney, Australia. The Florida Panhandle. Some bass fishing over there. Suburbs of Chicago, where they have the complete desecration of how pizza should be cooked, but I know the people in Chicago like it that way. And if you want to wait 3 hours for your pizza and eat like a loaf of bread, that is where you got to go. Oregon, the Great Northwest, Boston. Boston, probably near Harvard Yard. More Bay Area, love it. Paul's gone. Paul's not happy about us talking trash about their famous deep dish pizza. Okay, so welcome all. We are going to do some reactions. Elizabeth Norris from Michigan. Hey, Elizabeth. Did not know you were from Michigan, but that's crucial. Okay, so let's start, shall we? I'm almost like nervous to react to this crazy crap that happened. Oh, Surrey, England. My brother lives, one of my brothers, not the MAGA one, lives in England, loves it there. And Austin, who was just on the show this morning, Austin Searle, running for Senate in Utah. Austin Searle, I think it's austinforsenate.com. Okay, let's start it up. We've been putting this off too long. We're going to have to start looking at this insanity. And I think the first thing we're going to do, remind me, I got to share with audio. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Share audio. Donald Trump Jr. giving a speech. Let's go to the beginning.
Hello, Patriots!
Hello. Oh, my God. I love it. Right off the bat. Right off the bat. This guy does not play. He does not play. No, sir. He says, hello, Patriots. With, of course, the clear insinuation that anybody not at this rally is somehow a treasonous, anti-American, foreign, flag-burning hater of this country. But of course, if you go to a Donald Trump rally, you are a patriot. Great way to start. Love it. Reaffirm that you are the chosen group and everyone else is just the devil.
Hey guys, you actually all did something I didn't realize was possible.
Oh, the snark is full on with Don Jr. right now. Go ahead. Break it down, Don.
I'm looking at the crowd here and the tens of thousands, probably 100,000 plus people here. And you did it all without burning down buildings?
Oh, famous. That doesn't age well. Yeah, you did it all without burning buildings, but you broke in to the Capitol building and you had 5 people die, including killing a policeman with a fire extinguisher. But please, Donald, go ahead. Tell them how awesome they are.
You did it without ripping down churches?
You ripped down the Church of Democracy, probably one of the most important churches in Washington, D.C., the U.S. Capitol.
Without looting?
I'm pretty sure you broke into the building and took a bunch of stuff. Or since I think this stream is not going to be monetized, you took a bunch of shit. But okay, keep going. But you did not go into a Target, which clearly is MAGA sacred ground. There are 2 places of sacred ground in this country. They are Native American burial sites and apparently Targets.
I didn't know that was possible. According to the media.
Yeah, it is possible that that the MAGAs will take to violence. But are you going to tell us that the media has been misrepresenting? Because, by the way, Don Jr., we're going to be watching video that happened about an hour after you gave this speech. And let's see what happens. But you please continue. Tell us, you great, all-knowing, real American man. You just scum.
When you have a large gathering of peaceful protesters, they're supposed to burn it all down.
The irony of this speech is just too perfect. I wish I could say, "Oh, I set this up," but I knew he was going to say this. But of course, we're rolling in hot here, so I had not watched this speech. But I think it's great that he's bragging about how nonviolent the Mogans are.
See, guys, we can do it right, but the fact that you are all here on this rather cold January day tells me all I need to know. And it should be a message to all the Republicans who have not been willing to actually fight. The people who did nothing to stop this deal. This gathering should send a message to them. This isn't their Republican Party anymore. This is Donald Trump's Republican Party.
Ooh. That's interesting. This is the beginning of the splintering of the Republican Party, where now the Mogans are not only angry at the radical left, Sleepy Joe, Socialist Kamala, whatever else they come up with, but they're also mad at the Republican Party. At some point, there's going to be no one left in the MAGA camp other than Donald, Don Jr., Ivanka, and the dude with the horns.
This is the Republican Party that will put America first. This is the Republican Party that will fight for the American worker. This is the Republican Party that's...
What? Oh, you fought for the American worker by giving tax cuts, frankly, to the richest people in the country, and you fought for the American worker by refusing to take the pandemic seriously, which then required even more extreme shutdowns. But you could keep saying you fight for the American worker. I think people are starting to wise up to that. Sadly, good 70 million still think that Donald Trump cares about the American worker.
It's not just going to roll over and die because the Democrats would like you to.
The Democrats would like you to roll over and die. This is the kind of language that the son of the president of the United States is using. That the opposing party wants you listening to roll over and die.
No, we've seen that, guys. We've seen that. We've been our own worst enemy. All you got to do
That is true. You have been your worst enemy.
is look to Georgia, where you had Republicans saying, well, I don't like the way the game is played, so let's take our ball and go home.
No. When you get less votes and you lose, you move on. If you don't get more votes, you lost. It's not whining. It's just being a man and moving on. You play by the rules, bro. Just because you're the one that's complaining, that's refusing. You're like the team after the football game that's starting a fight when the time runs out. And it's sad. It's frankly sad, Don Jr. You're a sad little man. And your daddy, he went down in disgrace, and you're going to be attached to him for better or for worse. So enjoy your life in Mar-a-Lago with Guilfoyle and go, do your hunting of endangered animals in faraway places and make yourself feel good. But you are no longer welcome in American politics.
No, guys, hey, guess what? That was music to Chuck Schumer's ears. That was music to Nancy Pelosi's ears.
Boo.
And that is what so many in the Republican establishment have created, that sort of mentality. Okay, we'll turn the other cheek. We'll roll over and die.
What would you want them to do? You lost the election. If you don't move on, what is it that you expect this crowd to do? You lost. You didn't get enough votes. You lost fair and square after multiple recounts. And now here you are in front of the Capitol, in front of the White House, getting this crowd all riled up. What is it that you want them to do, Don Jr.? You're telling them that if they don't fight, they're going to be losers and they're going to be rolling over and dying? What would you want them to do right now?
They'll fold and give up. No more.
Whoa, no more.
So to those Republicans, many of which may be voting on things in the coming hours, you have an opportunity today. You can be a hero or you can be a zero. And
Wait a minute. So this is being given on the day that the Congress is ratifying the state certified electoral votes. And he just said, you can do something today. You can be a hero or you can be a zero. What is it that he wants them to do? It's very disturbing, especially because we all know what happens next. But he's basically firing them up. He's inciting them, isn't he? He's basically creating a mob right in front of our eyes.
the choice is yours, but we are all watching.
The choice is yours, but we are all watching. You can be a hero or a zero.
The whole world is watching, folks. Choose wisely.
Choose wisely.
Because if you just roll over, if you don't fight in the face of glaring irregularities, statistical impossibilities,
You guys, it's eerie, right? You hear it? You hear it boiling over? You hear what's going on, guys? This is a man getting a very angry mob further fired up and telling them you can be a hero or a zero. And you need to do the right thing. What could that possibly mean? I mean, just listen to the sound of a mob that's about to invade the US Capitol. And this is not a mob from the British king. This is a mob from within. It's frightening.
That's right, guys. That's the message. These guys better fight for Trump, because if they're not, guess what? I'm going to be in your backyard in a couple of months. Guys like Scott here. Look at, wow, okay. I can't go through the whole list because I don't have 45 minutes to go through all the patriots that have been fighting, that have been on the ground, that have mobilized to put good Republicans in those positions. Guess what, folks? If you're going to be the zero and not the hero, we're coming for you, and we're going to have a good time doing it.
We're coming for you, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Now, in this case, we're going to give, I think we should give Don Jr. a little bit of benefit of the doubt. I think he means we're going to primary you, but who knows? Maybe people in the crowd interpreted this to be something else.
We got to start fighting like the Democrats do, right? We got to play their game. We got to take their fight to them their way. Our reluctance to do that over the last few decades is why we are in the position that we are in. So today, friend or foe, today, Republicans, you get to pick a side for the future of this party. Again, I suggest you choose wisely. So Kimberly, thank you for all of your fight. How'd Kimberly do, folks? One of the great fighters out there.
Not a fan of Kimberly, but please proceed.
To my family, to my father, but most importantly, to all of you red-blooded, patriotic Americans. Thank
Red-blooded, patriotic Americans. So you're the real Americans. Go march down and find those unreal Americans and be a hero. Don't be a zero.
Thank you for being in this fight with us. Thank you for standing up to the bullshit. Right? A man and a woman. Right?
Oh, he loves it. He loves to just find those things that kind of like really needle the MAGA base. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a big deal about gender inclusive terminology. And this is just another example of why you're a real American, and those other people who want to talk about men and women as equals, they're not real Americans. And let's go snicker about it.
No, I know. I know. But that shows you literally the mentality of where the Democrat Party is, right? I think I put it up on my Instagram, which is being censored to hell right now, but like I put it up yesterday. They spent money on a study that came to the incredible conclusion yesterday that trans women playing in female sports have a competitive advantage.
All right, so that's how you're going to get them riled up. Are we going to talk about the war on Christmas? And what else should we talk about? Kneeling during the national anthem? I mean, let's just put all the red meat in there, because this crowd, you want to fire them up, you're doing it, Don. And you're partly responsible.
No shit. Who could have seen that coming? I had no idea. I'm glad we spent probably millions figuring that out. Just like I'm thrilled that we spent $10 million to Pakistan on gender studies, because I'm sure they care. And billions elsewhere on nonsense. That is driven by the insanity of the left, folks. And we have
the insanity of the left. You are a real American. You're real patriots. You have an opportunity to be a hero, not a zero. You're going to march down there and encounter the insanity of the left, the statistical impossibility of a Trump loss. You must fight and be strong. This is what he's telling them.
Have to stand up for it. No one cares how you identify, but you don't have to do the nonsense that follows. And what I want to know is, in these sort of things, where are the people? Where are the feminists that we're fighting as men are dominating women's sports? Where are they, folks? We need to be the party
of all the things that you could be talking about. We could be talking about like a pandemic that has now killed over 300,000 Americans on your father's watch because he didn't want to take it seriously and he thought just banning flights from China was sufficient, that it would just go away because of the heat. We could talk about income inequality, the destruction of our environment, the polarization of politics. But it sounds like you want to talk about stuff that purposely pisses the MAGA base off the most, which is gender studies in Pakistan. Really? That's the most important thing you want to talk about?
of common sense. We need to be the party of reason. We need to be
the party of reason? The MAGA party is the party of reason? Are you freaking serious?
the party of our values that we hold so dear, that made America the greatest country in the world. And you guys are part of that.
What are those values? I thought the values were law and order, about doing the right thing, about grace, about loving your neighbor, about respecting each other. Aren't those the values? What values are you talking about?
Movement. So stay in this fight. Stay loud. Don't be suppressed. Don't be put in your corner. Don't let them cancel you. Trust me, I've been canceled 17 times since I started this speech. I promise you. Once it happens, it's rather freeing. And you can kind of do what you want. Don't let them do it to you. Stand up and fight. Stand up and hold your representatives accountable. And when you do, we can keep America great. Thank you, Patriots. Thank you, America. Keep fighting. Thank you, guys.
Woo! Oh, my goodness. So that was Don Jr. He is a piece of crap, if you ask me. But you guys know I don't really like the whole Trump family so much. Now, next, we're going to look at President Trump's own speech And then we're going to look at the footage of what followed. And then if we have time and you guys are still on the stream, I can give you a data update on COVID stuff. Woo! But my God, Don Jr. is a real piece of work. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of someone in high school that would always egg on people to fight, but wouldn't necessarily fight himself. You know, like one of those little pieces of work. At any rate, let's see what his father did. Maybe his father showed a little bit more restraint. All right, Donald. Let's see what you got. Oopsie daisy. I always forget to share audio. They should just have that on by default. Okay. Come on, Donnie. Okay. Interesting music. Okay, we're probably gonna have to fast forward and get to the part where there he comes. That's his entrance music. Interesting. All right, now we know he's coming because they play. You have to give credit to Trump for always sort of like wrapping himself in the flag and basically presenting himself as the equivalent of, if you're for America, then you have to be for Trump. And if you're not for Trump, then clearly you're un-American. So I give him credit. Like, look at that. It's beautiful. He's playing God Bless the USA, you know, proud to be an American. He's got about 500 flags, and then he's got it in front of the government building, the White House. Yeah, he's good. Everything's coordinated. It's all red, white, and blue. He's got the nice seal. Like, say what you want about Donald Trump. He knows how to put on a good show. And let's see what he says. Oh no, is there a second verse coming? Okay, we're going to fast forward till he starts talking.
I just want to see, and I saw. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me.
You know, you gotta wonder if this kind of music, you know, talking about the people who gave their lives for the country, plus the Don Jr., like, you've got to fight. You can be a hero or a zero. You know, we're gonna fight and turn this thing around. It all came into an interesting cocktail that somehow led these law and order people to smash in windows and invade the Capitol. But it is nice with the waving flags in the background. I have to give him credit. All right, let's hear from the President of the United States. What the hell? There's no audio? Are you serious? What the hell's going on? Oh, I was just complimenting them on their stagecraft, but this is a little bit of a buzzkill. Oh, golly. This is embarrassing.
magnitude of this crowd. Even when I turned on today, I looked and I saw thousands of people here, but you don't see hundreds of thousands of people behind you because they don't want to show that. We have hundreds of thousands of people here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media.
Wow. Don Jr. said there were tens of thousands, and now Don Sr. saying there's hundreds of thousands. But surely there were a lot of people. But as you know, one of the rules of Trump politics is whenever you see him say a number, just assume that it's made up.
Media, turn your cameras, please, and show what's really happening out here, because these people are not going to take it any longer.
These people are not going to take it any longer. What do you think he means by that?
They're not going to take it any longer. Go ahead, turn your cameras, please. Would you show? They came from all over the world, actually, but they came from all over our country. I just really want to see what they do. I just want to see how they cover it. I've never seen anything like it.
He is so keen on making sure people see how big his crowds are. It's okay, Donald. We know you're ultra popular with damn near 70 million people. Congratulations. Can you now just do the right thing for the country, or is it always going to be about how big your crowds are?
But it would be really great if we could be covered fairly by the media. The media is the biggest problem we have as far as I'm concerned. Single biggest problem. The fake news and the big tech. Big tech is now coming.
Oh, little do you know what Twitter's about to do to you, bro. But keep going.
Into their own. We beat them 4 years ago. We surprised them. We took.
You know, the irony is that this man was made by big tech. If there were no Twitter and Facebook, would Donald Trump have even become president? I mean, that, you know, you can kind of give Twitter and Facebook as much grief as you want, but they kind of made you.
Took them by surprise. And this year, they rigged an election. They rigged it like they've never rigged an election before. And by the way, last night they didn't do a bad job either, if you notice. I'm honest, and I just, again, I want to thank you. It's just a great honor to have this kind of crowd and to be before you and hundreds of thousands of American patriots who are committed to the honesty of our elections and the integrity of our glorious republic. All of us here today do not.
The integrity of our glorious republic. By the way, I see Aubrey saying, hey, just let it play. What I'm going to do, Aubrey, is I'm going to put a link to the video that I'm playing in the chat because this will be a React live stream. If you're interested in just watching the speech, go ahead and check out the link in the chat and you can watch it uninterrupted. But for those of you who remain, this will require you to sit through some angry nerd reactions. Otherwise, I would just be kind of re-uploading other people's content. So I need to add original commentary. Appreciate your patience. Let us proceed with the speech.
I want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
We will never give up. We will never concede. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Wow, if you're a fired up, angry person in this crowd and you're steps away from the Capitol and you know there's people voting on this quote unquote stolen election that you'll never concede, what might you do?
Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. And that's what this is all about. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal.
We will stop the steal. And what does he say right before that?
And the integrity
of our glorious republic. All of us here today, it's not a close election. You know, I say sometimes jokingly, but there's no joke about it. I've been in 2 elections. I won them both. And the second one, I won much bigger than the first. Okay.
Oh my God, dude. Are you freaking serious, dude? You lost the second one by what your definition is a landslide, which is over 300 electoral votes for the other guy. So now not only are you unwilling to concede, you actually think you won by a bigger margin. That is the level of your delusion. How many court cases have you won? Where is your freaking evidence that has stood up in the daylight of a courtroom?
Almost 75 million people voted for our campaign, the most of any incumbent president by far in the history of our country. 12 million more people than 4 years ago.
Okay. So this is one of those things where the president is very sneaky with his statistics. So he's basically saying, hey, no other incumbent president has gotten, now he calls it 75 million, but if you wanted to be more accurate, we could actually go to, should we go to MSNBC? No. Let's go to Fox News. This is Fox News. Fox says it's 74,223,755. Now, in Trump world, that means 75 million somehow. If you owe someone $74,223, you don't owe them 75,000. You probably would round it to 74,000. Apparently, Donald Trump transferred to Wharton and spent like 6 months there. He should be able to figure that out. Now, what he's telling you is true, that no other incumbent president has gotten that many votes. What's also true is no other challenger has gotten 81 million votes. Right? So it's sort of like telling someone, oh, football team A and B played, and B scored more points than it's ever scored before. But what they're not telling you is that A still beat them because A crushed their ass. So this just kind of like manipulation of statistics is so off. It's so insulting to people who care about data and logic. It's just freaking. The other thing that they always bring up is like, oh, more white people died at the hands of police shootings than black people. And they don't share the per capita death rate, because it turns out there are more white people in this country than black people. So, of course, there's going to be more white deaths at the hands of police than blacks. It doesn't mean that that those killings are happening proportionate to their population. But that sort of per capita calculation is absent from our national discourse. Sorry, but when people misuse statistics to try and distort the truth, and they use it to incite mobs, it really, really is disgusting and deplorable. God. Okay, let's just breathe, nerd, and watch the rest of the speech without having a freaking artery blow up.
And I was told by the real pollsters, we do have real pollsters, they know that we were going to do well and we were going to win. What I was told.
Oh, so now there's fake pollsters too. Do you hear this? He's talking about the real pollsters, like I have the real pollsters, not those pollsters that said I was going to lose. Engaging life medias. Ironic that his social media was his downfall. It's true. I mean, it's ironic that social media elected him, And now he's going to be banished because he can't follow the terms of service. And the nuance is that Twitter knew he was breaking the rules, but they felt like for the last 4 years, it was important for all of us to hear directly from the president. But now that he's in his rabid duck period, they finally decided to enforce their terms of service. So yeah, let's keep hearing from the madman.
If I went from 63 million, which we had 4 years ago, to 66 million, there was no chance of losing. Well, we didn't go to 66. We went to 75 million, and they say we lost. We didn't lose. And by the way, does anybody believe that Joe had 80 million votes? Does anybody believe that?
Yes, dude. Here's why Joe had 80 million votes. It's because people really don't like you. It's not because... So here's a false choice that Trump is presenting to the audience. If you believe that Joe Biden is not a charismatic, compelling candidate, then surely I could not have lost. In actual fact, there is another explanation for Joe Biden getting 80 million votes. It's that 80 million people believe that Trump is terrible. That's right, underdog. That is exactly right. I myself did not vote entirely for Joe Biden. I voted because I was tired of the nonsense from Donald Trump. And he only proved all of us who voted for Biden right by this week.
He had 80 million computer votes. It's a disgrace. There's never
80 million computer votes. I love it. I love how he just disparages. But then the 74.2 million votes for Trump, they were not computer votes. They were somehow a different kind of vote, because any vote for Trump is pristine and fully certified, and any vote from Biden must be computer, China, Chavez, Soros, globalists, whatever words you want to use. This man is a disgrace. This man is a disgrace and a danger to democracy. And the fact that he's leaving in 2 weeks doesn't mean jack shit, because his followers have been brainwashed to completely think that all Democrats are a bunch of communists, that all Democrats are anti-American, and that the only pro-American person on the planet is this orange demon.
been anything like that. You could take third world countries. Just take a look. Take third world countries. Their elections are more honest than what we've been going through in this country.
You have turned this election into a third world transition. You have refused to cooperate with the winning candidate's team. You have refused to authorize your Department of Defense to plan for the transition. You have carried on this charade for 2 months. If you wanted to pout for a couple weeks after you lost, that's one thing. If you wanted to keep making an argument if you won a single case in a courtroom, that's another thing. But in fact, you lost 60 cases. You've lost multiple recounts, hand recounts, not computer recounts, you moron. And here you are complaining about third world countries. Here you are calling other countries S-holes. Look at what you've done.
It's a disgrace.
You are a disgrace.
Even when you look at last night, they're all running around like chickens with their heads cut off with boxes, and nobody knows what the hell is going on. There's never been anything like this. We will not let them silence your voices. We're not going to let it happen.
How are you not going to let the effect of the election play out, which is that you leave and Biden is sworn in? What do you mean you're not going to let it happen?
Not going to let it happen.
You have to let it happen. That's why this is a democracy. If you wanted to go back in time and hang out with Henry VIII and start chopping people's heads off, that's one thing. But this is America, Jack. This is not, you're not the British king. You're not the German emperor. You are an American president in 2021. Act like it. Act like a freaking man. You guys hear that crowd? They are getting fired up. They are getting ready to break shit.
Thank you. And I'd love to have, if those tens of thousands of people would be allowed.
Are you going to complain about the cameras not pointing out the crowds? Because at some point, Donald, people are going to think you're compensating.
Military, the Secret Service, and we want to thank you, and the police, law enforcement. Great. You're doing a great job.
Oh, you're praising the law enforcement. Well, let's see what this crowd thinks of law enforcement when they get to the Capitol.
I'd love it if they could be allowed to come up here with us. Is that possible? Can you just let them come up, please?
Interesting.
And Rudy, you did a great job.
Oh, God. Rudy Giuliani is here.
He's got guts. You know what? He's got guts. Unlike a lot of people in the Republican Party, he's got guts. He fights. He fights. And I'll tell you, thank you.
I'll tell you, I'm going to give you your pardon, Rudy. You did a good job. Good boy, Rudy.
Very much, John. Fantastic job. I watched. That's a tough act to follow, those two. John is one of the most brilliant lawyers in the country, and he looked at this and he said, what an absolute disgrace that this could be happening to our Constitution. And he looked at Mike Pence, and I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election.
What do you mean if Mike Pence does the right thing? The vice president isn't allowed to pick the president. The states do. They had their elections. They certified the results. And now it's up to the Congress to accept it and ratify it. It is not up to the vice president to say, oh, that's interesting. The states felt this way. Yeah, I disagree. I'm going to personally decide who becomes the next president. That's not, you wrap yourself in the flag and you talk about the Constitution like it's this sacred document, but you sound like someone who's never actually read the damn thing.
All he has to do, this is from the number one, or certainly one of the top constitutional lawyers in our country. He has the absolute right to do it. We're supposed to protect our country, support our country, support our Constitution, and protect our Constitution.
What are you talking about? Do you really think the founding fathers set up the Constitution so that a single man who clearly is not a neutral party could overturn 150 million votes? Could overturn the will of 50 states? Seriously? You really think that's what the Constitution's designed to do? That is what the founding fathers had in mind? What crack are you smoking?
States want to revote. The states got defrauded. They were given false information. They voted on it. Now they want to recertify. They want it back. No,
you lost, dude. If every time someone loses, a bunch of states say, oh, we don't like the results, we want to do it over and over for just because our guy didn't win, how the hell will we do any elections? You want to talk about third world countries? Look in the mirror, bro.
Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify, and we become president. And
yeah, like Georgia recounted 3 times, and every time you lost. If you're going to send it a 4th time, it's not going to change, dude. It's not how it works.
You are the happiest people.
Look at that smug face. I want to.
And I actually I just spoke to Mike. I said, Mike, that doesn't take courage. What takes courage is to do nothing. That takes courage. And then we're stuck with a president who lost the election by a lot, and we have to live with that for 4 more years. We're just not going to let that happen. Many of you have traveled from all across the nation to be here, and I want to thank you for the extraordinary love. That's what it is. There's never been a movement like this, ever, ever.
This is a movement of love. I've heard a lot before, but that's a whopper.
For the extraordinary love for this amazing country and this amazing movement. Thank you.
We love Trump. That's the crowd. This is a very, very devoted group.
By the way, this goes all the way back past the Washington Monument. Do you believe this? Look at.
Oh, we get to talk about the crowd size again. Why don't you talk about your giant hands?
Unfortunately, they.
Oh, the media, the mainstream media is not going to show the size of this crowd. Dude, it's fine. We know that there are freaking millions of people that love you. Tens of millions of people that love you. Doesn't change the fact that you lost.
Gave the press the prime seats. I can't stand that. No, but you look at that behind. I wish they'd flip those cameras and look behind.
Flip the cameras around.
The most amazing sight. When they make a mistake, you get to see it on television. Amazing. Amazing. All the way back.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. We're not
Don't
taking
worry,
a
we
tour.
will not take the name off the Washington Monument. We will not. Cancel culture. You know, they wanted to get rid of the Jefferson Memorial. Either take it down or just put somebody else in there. I don't think that's going to happen. It damn well better not. Although with this administration, if this happens, it could happen. You'll see some really bad things happen. They'll knock out Lincoln too, by the way. They've been taking his statue down. But then we signed a little law. You hurt our monuments. You hurt our heroes. You go to jail for 10 years and everything stopped. You notice that?
Oh, that's a good reminder. Didn't Trump either sign an executive action or a new law that if you damage federal property, you go to jail for 10 years? I wonder if that's going to be applied to the Moggins when they break into the Capitol. Or is it only Confederate statues that get protection?
It stopped. It all stopped. And they could use Rudy back in New York City, Rudy. They could use you. Your city's going to hell. They want Rudy Giuliani back in New York.
No, nobody wants Rudy Giuliani back in New York, dude. The only person that wants Rudy Giuliani back in New York is maybe Rudy Giuliani, maybe his cousin, and you, Donald.
We'll get a little younger version of Rudy. Is that okay, Rudy?
Younger version of Rudy. That's kind of strange.
We're gathered together in the heart of our nation's capital for one very, very basic and simple reason: to save our democracy. You know, most candidates on election evening, and of course, this thing goes on so long, they still don't have any idea what the votes are. We still have congressional seats under review. They have no idea. They've totally lost control. They've used the pandemic as a way of defrauding the people in a proper election.
They've used the pandemic as a way of defrauding the people in a proper election. Here's the deal, bro. Pandemics are not partisan. They kill just as many Republicans as they kill Democrats. And your refusal to do anything about it, other than banning flights from China, but allowing American citizens traveling to China to come in without quarantine, and then allowing European travelers to come in without quarantine to this day, without requiring testing, without requiring masks, without requiring distancing. This is why we're here, you idiot. Not because it was some conspiracy so that you would lose your election. Because of your arrogance, people died, probably hundreds of thousands that could have been avoided. That's on you.
But when you see this and when you see what's happening, number one, they all say, sir, we'll never let it happen again. I said, that's good. But what about 8 weeks ago? They try and get you to go. They say, sir, in 4 years, you're guaranteed. I said, I'm not interested right now. Do me a
Yeah, I'm not interested in you in 4 years either.
favor. Go back 8 weeks. I want to go back 8 weeks.
You can't. That's how time works. You cannot go back in time. You cannot have a do-over. You lost. When you lose, that's it. You move on like a man. Don't cry. You're just such like, I don't want any of our children to see how this person behaves. He is the epitome of how all of us are trying to raise our young boys not to become. Can you imagine if your kids ended up like this guy? It would be a disgrace.
Let's go back 8 weeks.
No, not going back, dude. Not going back. You lost.
We want to go back and we.
No, you want to go back? Yeah, you know what? I want $100 million. I want a pony. Not going to happen, bro. Put on your big boy pants. Go to Mar-a-Lago. Tool around in your golf course. Have your angry rallies. Do whatever you want, but just get the hell out of the White House.
We want to get this right because we're going to have somebody in there that should not be in there, and our country will be destroyed, and we're not going to stand for that.
Our country will be destroyed, and we're not going to stand for that.
For years, Democrats have gotten away with election fraud and weak Republicans, and that's what they are. There's so many weak Republicans, and we have great ones. Jim Jordan and some of these guys.
Jim Jordan is one of the great ones.
They're out there fighting. The House guys are fighting, but it's incredible. Many of the Republicans, I helped them get in. I helped them get elected. I helped Mitch get elected. I could name 24 of them, let's say. I won't bore you with it. And then all of a sudden you have something like this, and it's like, gee, maybe I'll talk to the president sometime later. No, it's amazing. The weak Republicans.
Oh, they're not returning your calls, bro. You know why? It's because even though the Republicans are spineless, they're not stupid. They realize that you lost and you're going away and they need to move on like all of us.
They're pathetic Republicans, and that's what happens. If this happened to the Democrats, there'd be hell all over the country going on.
What does that even mean? If this happened to the Democrats, there'd be hell over. You won. You got help from Russia. Okay. You basically have tapes of you talking about grabbing women by their private parts, right? You lied about releasing your taxes right after the election. You lied about having a plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. You lied about eliminating the national debt. You lied about the coronavirus going away, magically disappearing. And you know what the Democrats did? Yeah, they marched. Some of them, let's be honest, did take it way too far. And I'm totally against any of the riots and looters. But the vast majority of Democrats, after you got elected, marched around in pink hats. What your folks are doing is reprehensible.
Be hell all over the country. But just remember this: you're stronger, you're smarter, you've got more going than anybody, and they try and demean everybody having to do with us. And you're the real people. You're the people that built this nation. You're not the people that tore down our nation.
You're the real Americans, not those Democrats. So you have a right to go into that Capitol and do whatever the hell you want to those weak ass Republicans. That's the subtext.
The weak Republicans, and that's it. I really believe it. I think I'm going to use the term the weak Republicans. You got a lot of them, and you got a lot of great ones, but you got a lot of weak ones. They've turned a blind eye, even as Democrats enacted policies that chipped away our jobs, weakened our military, threw open our borders, and put America last. Did you see the other day where Joe Biden said, I want to get rid of the America First policy? What's that all about? How do you say, I want to get rid of America first? Even if you're going to do it, don't vote.
Listen, if the last 4 years is your example of what America First is all about, I would love to just have America doing the right thing, America making sense, America allowing this country to thrive and prosper and be strong and safe and secure, to take care of each other, to give our companies and private enterprises opportunity to innovate, and to give everybody graduating from high school an opportunity to participate. That's what I want. I don't care if we're first or half or a quarter or second or third. What I want is everybody to reach their full potential. And you are so focused on some scoreboard, which I don't know where America is number one right now. On what? The amount of polarization? The amount of deaths from COVID? I don't want to be first in those things.
Talk about it, right? Unbelievable what we have to go through. What we have to go through. And you have to get your people to fight. And if they don't fight, we have to primary the hell out of the ones that don't fight. You primary them. We're gonna let you know who they are. I could already tell you, frankly. But this year, using the pretext.
All right. So he goes on to give a bunch of talks, but he's kind of wearing me out right now. We're now going to look at the aftermath of what happens after the crowd listens to this speech. This crowd of red-blooded, patriotic, Constitution-loving, law and order-abiding MAGA supporters. So let's see what happens after. This man, he really just pisses me off, this guy. All right, here we go.
In the heart of our nation's capital for one very, very basic and simple reason: to save our democracy. We have hundreds of thousands of people here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media. Turn your cameras, please, and show what's really happening out here, because these people are not going to take it any longer. Because you'll never...
Oh, a Confederate flag. That's always encouraging.
Take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to...
Bro, this is not a Civil War reenactment. Get off the statue. As your president said, that is public property. And number two, you're an American. You're not a citizen of the Confederate States of America. Put that flag down.
To be strong. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough.
All right, here comes the law and order abiding MAGA supporters. These are not radical left Antifa. These are not BLM rioters. These are supposedly patriotic, red-blooded, Constitution, Blue Lives Matter MAGAs.
Will not take it anymore. We will stop the steal. We will not let them silence your voices. We're not going to let it happen. They've used the pandemic as a way of defrauding the people. We want to go back, and we want to...
Guys, just a reminder. We are looking at people breaking in to the U.S. Capitol building as our Congress is trying to ratify the results of a presidential election that took place 2 months ago. If you told me this a year ago, I would say, like, okay, of course the Trump supporters are going to be sore losers, but they're not going to They're going to break in to the Congress and disrupt literally democracy in action. They're not going to disrupt that. I might disagree with them on a lot of things, but they love democracy and the Constitution as much as we do.
To get this right, because we're going to have somebody in there that should not be in there, and our country will be destroyed, and we're not going to stand for that. For years, Democrats have gotten away with election fraud. Republicans are constantly.
Now, those windows are bulletproof windows. So, in theory, it should not be easy to break into them. But the great irony is, the implements they're using are usually for holding up the flag. And so they're using flags to break in to the American Capitol. It's so sad.
Fighting like a boxer with his hands tied behind his back. It's like a boxer. And we want to be so nice. We want to be so respectful of everybody, including bad people. And we're going to have to fight much harder. But just remember this, you're stronger, you're smarter, you've got more going than anybody, and they try and demean everybody having to do with us. And you're the real people. You're the people that built this nation. You have to get your people to fight. And if they don't fight, we have to primary the hell out of the ones that...
Are you guys seeing this? They literally bashed in the windows of the Capitol and are now climbing in like a bunch of zombies, dude. And you want to talk about third world democracies? Well, on this day, with this crowd, you entered the fourth world.
Don't fight. And our election was so corrupt that in the history of this country, we've never seen anything like it. Why wouldn't they let us verify signatures in Fulton County?
Why are there people in camouflage climbing in to the Capitol building with bulletproof vests? What the hell were they planning on doing?
Which is known for being very corrupt. They won't do it. They go to some other county where you would live. I said, that's not the problem. The problem is Fulton County, home of Stacey Abrams. You know what the world says about us now? They said we don't have free and fair elections. And you know what else? We don't have a free and fair press. Our media is not free. It's not fair. It suppresses thought.
Is that a
suppresses speech, and it's become the enemy of the people.
They are now attacking the journalists who are covering the event.
Become the enemy of the people. It's the biggest.
Okay, that is, I know we're all about law and order. I'm pretty sure that's not your property, but I'm guessing you are not a thug.
Problem we have in this country. We will not be intimidated into accepting the hoaxes and
the media is the virus.
Lies that we've been forced to believe. Over the past several weeks, we've amassed overwhelming evidence about a fake election.
You know, the thing that's most disturbing is seeing all of these American flags being used to destroy an American democracy. It's just depressing. The irony. They're using Old Glory to bust in to the United States Congress. The last organized group that did that was a foreign power, was the British. And now we're doing it to ourselves.
We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you, and I'm going to be watching.
Drain the swamp flag. trying to bash in a congressional door. This is America first.
Because history is going to be made. We're going to see whether or not we have great and courageous leaders, or whether or not we have leaders that should be ashamed of themselves. And you know what? If they do the wrong thing, we should never, ever forget that they did. Never forget. We should never, ever forget. The Republicans have to get tougher. You're not going to have a Republican Party if you don't get tougher. They want to play so straight. They want to play so serious. The United States. The Constitution doesn't allow me to send them back to the States. Well, I say, yes, it does. And we got to get rid of the weak Congress people, the ones that aren't any good. That's going to be the end of the Republican Party.
Mobs. Nothing more than mobs ransacking our capital, terrorizing our elected representatives. This man is a cancer, and he has turned fellow citizens into deranged mobs of anti-democratic terrorists.
Party as we know it, but it's never going to be the end of us. Never. Let them get out. Let the weak ones get out. This is a time for strength. The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They're ruthless, and it's time that somebody did something about it. Make no mistake, this election was stolen from you.
Look at this poor guy. Look at this poor guy. He is scared shitless because the so-called great American MAGA Stop the Steal crowd has broken in to the Capitol, and he can't believe what the hell he's seeing. And he knows he's overrun, and he can't arrest them. There's too many. And he sure as hell can't shoot them because they'll probably kill him for that. What? Look at this poor guy. He's just trying to do his job, man. What happened to the Blue Lives Matter, law and order?
From me and from the country. As this enormous crowd shows, we have truth and justice on our side. We have overwhelming pride in this great country, and we have it deep in our souls, and we fight.
Is that a guy in a tri-tip hat?
Fight like hell.
You want to fight? You better believe you got war.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Shots fired.
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country.
What? I need to admit that when he posted this video, I was encouraged. I knew that he was doing it for self-serving reasons, but I thought at least he's trying to de-escalate. But after watching his speech again and the footage we just saw, and then posting this kind of kabuki theater, I find it's even more insulting. Like, he's acting like, oh, I'm just becoming aware of this acts of violence. You and I have a lot of work to do. Like, we need to get to the bottom of this. It's like, no, you are at the bottom of this.
And to those who broke the law, you will pay. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power.
Oh, your focus is on a smooth, orderly, seamless transition of power. How magnanimous of you. 2 months after you lost, 1 day after you incited a mob to march on the Capitol and break in. Now your focus is on a transition? You idiot.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.
Yeah, God bless America is a little bit too little and too late. Oh my God, this freaking guy. All right, now, that is the end of the Nerds React to, oh, this Trump moron. If you guys want, I can share with you some of the latest COVID stats, because although we are an angry nerd, we are still nerds and love data. So if you're curious about the state of the coronavirus pandemic internationally and in the United States, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a summary of that in a minute. Before we go there, I do want to thank the people who make this channel possible. I'm pretty sure because I was swearing, and this is a very controversial event, that this video will not be monetized. But luckily, we do have channel members who make Nerds for Humanity possible. And in particular, I want to start by thanking our highest level members. We've got Kristen Slevin, an executive vice president. Thank you, Kristen, for your support. And then we've got the next level is the VP level. And we're going to order this by total time supporting the channel. VLAM, JM Sat, Fat Lamb, Soldier One, Laura Lane, Josh Frick, Patrick Dunn, and Mindful Skeptics podcast. And next level, we've got the hardcore. Mike Chang, Gene Lim, David, Tracy Mesa, DK, Landline, Phoenix Congress, Jekalago, Kirsch, Mr. History Fan, Byram Hess, Mona, Susan Yang, Robert, Dean, Stat Nerd, and a new member, Galessa. Thank you, Galessa. Welcome to the Nerds for Humanity Nation. And then the last level is the verified level. Starting with Helen, Lisa, Sugar, Albert, Brandon, yes, Brian, Peter, Arez, your mom, Sophia, Jadwiga, Gail, Shake and Make, Mike. Oh, I think I finally got Mike's name. I'm not going to say it the way you want me to, Mike. Doris, Emerald, Nell, Lori, Ben, Roger, Lisa, Christina, Vaughn, Tony, Rastafasta, Ryan, Jessica, Bike, James, Jalopy, Emma, Joel, Spirited, Hui, Stephen, Ira, Shoni, and Philip. Philip, a fairly new member. Welcome to the Nerds for Humanity Nation. So you guys all make this channel possible. If you aren't a member, you want to support this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It definitely helps people discover our channel and this content. And if you really love what you see and you want to see more, please consider becoming a member. We're actually going to do an ad campaign promoting the channel so we can get a bigger audience and then get bigger guests on. I'm trying to get Andrew Yang back on the show. He's been on a few times already, but we're trying to get him back. And I would love to get like Mitt Romney. I would love to get Tim Ryan back on here. I would love to get, let's see, maybe some libertarians. That would be cool. It would be great. Actually, I would love to get some big time MAGA leaders to really have an honest conversation. But before we wrap up, if you're still around, I'm going to show you some stats on the other big event, which is the fact that we are still in a virus situation. So let's just look at some stats and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so if you look at the high level world map of the coronavirus, some people have made the assertion that we as a country have turned the corner. We have not. In fact, globally, we have more new cases than ever before. On January 8th, across the world, there were almost 1 million new cases, 858,000. The 7-day average was only 700,000. So this is not the trend you'd want to see. In terms of deaths, we are now up to a total of 2 million souls that have died since the start of this pandemic. And on January 8th alone, there were 15,000 COVID-19 deaths. The U.S. Contributed about a quarter of those. A little less than a quarter, but close to it. And that's a 15% increase over the last 14-day average. So again, if you hear anyone telling you that Operation Warp Speed solved all our problems or that all you need is Regeneron, you tell all these people that are dying. And I think they will give you a very different story about how amazing this COVID-19 response has been. If you look at where are the biggest number of cases per capita, the dark purple is the highest concentration when you control for population size. And you see, this is where America is number one. Who else is as purple as us? Czech Republic, also 1 in 13 people. US, we've got 1 in 15 people. Jesus, 1 in 15 people in this country have or have had COVID. And 1 in 900 people in this country have died. But it's not just the US that is having trouble. 1 in 15 is bad, but if you look, Switzerland, 1 in 18, terrible. Belgium, 1 in 17. So it's not just the US that is struggling, but there are countries like Canada, 1 in 58. Or if you look at Japan, 1 in 462. If you look at Taiwan, 1 in 28,000. If you look at, what's this? Oh, Turkmenistan, no cases reported. That's bullshit. What about New Zealand? 1 in 2,000. Australia, 1 in 874. So 1 in 15 is pretty much bottom of the barrel performance. If you ask me, that's because we don't quarantine people when they fly in. We don't have mandatory tests. We don't have mandatory masks. We want to, quote unquote, liberate each state. And what happens is when you liberate each state, you end up having hotspots and you have Sturgis and all this kind of nonsense that ends up spreading all over the country. Now, if you look at where there are the biggest spikes, you'll see US is one of them. UK is looking terrible. Canada is looking okay. Looks like Malaysia is looking okay. Germany is looking okay. But US, not okay. Now, here are countries where it's higher, but it is going down. Denmark seems to be getting its act together. Russia, Turkey, Jordan. Where are the deaths happening and are increasing? US is on that list. But Germany deaths are increasing. Sweden, having a lot of problems in Sweden. And where the deaths are not increasing, you know, South Korea, Israel seems to have things under control. Norway, even Brazil is doing okay. Canada doing a little better than us, but they're still struggling as well. New cases across the world. We looked at this. Reported deaths across the world. This is the global death rate. You know, guys, 15,000 deaths per day. That's like 5 9/11s a day. So in the US, where are we seeing the most cases per 100,000 people? Southern California, Arizona, southern part of Texas, all of Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, Oklahoma, parts of South Dakota are terrible. Who's doing okay? Maine, Oregon, Minnesota starting to look okay. Colorado, decent. Washington State, decent. Northern California, okay. Nevada, okay. But there's a lot of trouble coming our way. All right. So I think vaccine distribution. The percent of population that has gotten a shot. So Operation Warp Speed was approved over a month ago. The president promised us that all of the doses were already pre-ordered, and some general was going to deliver it to all states within hours. That was a month ago. And right now, Florida looks like it has less than 3% vaccinated. A lot of old people live in Florida who are at risk. Credit to North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. They're at, quote unquote, a record 3.5 to 4% vaccinated. But at this rate, guys, we're not going to get vaccinated till, maybe 2022. So hopefully the Biden coronavirus task force comes in. It's sort of like putting in a new coach, new quarterback, because this one's not delivering. And let's see what else we can show you. How about hospital capacity? So let's zoom out. Well, you guys know I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've got 82% capacity in Northern California. Now, if we zoom out and we look at the rest of the country, here you see on the southeast, where I think they had the weakest mitigation, you're seeing some places, let's say, where is this? In Georgia, where they are at 97, 95%, 100% capacity, 0 ICU beds left in the Northeast Georgia Medical Center in Gainesville. You've got Grady Memorial Hospital, 0 available beds in Atlanta, Georgia, 100% capacity. Wellstar Kennestone Hospital in Marietta has 3 beds left. They have 200 COVID patients in the hospital. Northeast Georgia already has 300 COVID patients in the hospital. If you look at Florida, you've got 91% capacity utilized of ICU. They have 28 beds left. They have 353 patients in there right now in Orlando. Central Florida Regional in Sanford is at 99% capacity. Advent Health Frisch Memorial, 97% capacity. They have 1 bed left. Let's see, there's a big circle here. Mount Sinai has, they're good. They have 25 beds left. So if you are in Miami Beach, there's some room available. If you are in Miami, West Kendall Baptist Hospital, don't go there. There's no more beds available for ICU support. They already have 43 patients in there. Broward, 100% capacity. They have 29 patients in that hospital. 39 in Memorial Hospital Miramar, 100% capacity. No more ICU beds left. So, we can go through all of them, but basically, I would suggest that if you look at the average, we're at 77% capacity. Where are the outliers? New York Presbyterian Hospital has 451 patients. They have 37 ICU beds left. Kaiser Permanente in Fontana has 379 COVID patients. They have 11 ICU beds left. Advent Health Orlando has 353 patients. They have 28 beds left. Geisinger in Pennsylvania has 348 COVID patients, 19 beds left. So, guys, this is looking pretty intense. Cedar Sinai Medical, 315 COVID patients, no beds left. ICU occupancy is at 124%. So that's probably because they're making up like virtual ICU beds just to keep up. Kaiser Permanente in Anaheim, 225 COVID patients, no beds left if you need ICU support. So if you hear anyone tell you that this is just a cold, I don't remember colds overrunning hospitals where they literally run out of beds. If you hear people tell you that this is being diagnosed as COVID because doctors are trying to make more money, I've never heard of morgues overflowing because doctors are just labeling people with pneumonia with something else. Guys, that's just bullshit. Okay, this is a real problem. Follow the public health guidelines. Don't follow the president. Don't be like the Rose Garden. Don't act like you're invincible. You're not. I appreciate that a lot of you believe vitamin C and zinc are great. They are. They are not a vaccine. I appreciate that a lot of you have been celebrating Operation Warp Speed. Until 60, 70% of the population gets vaccinated, it doesn't matter. And right now, we're at like 2 to 3%. So if you weren't pissed off enough about this president with the Capitol insurrection, this handling of the coronavirus, of a freaking global pandemic, and trying to call it the China virus and trying to just assign blame and not be part of the solution, let me remind you, right now in this country, we are at 369,000 COVID deaths. Let that sink in, folks. Under this president, there were 369,000 deaths, 22 million cases. In the US alone, yesterday, we had 3,895 die. The day before that, 4,112 deaths. This is not a hoax. This is not the flu. This is not the sniffles. This will not go away magically. You're not all going to get vaccinated tomorrow. I would love to. I would be the first person to get vaccinated if I could get access to it. But they only have it available for 2%. So I know that the president's supporters will say that this is a state's problem. This is not an American problem. This is not a national problem. But it freaking is. When it's killing damn near 400,000 people, it's a national problem. And it requires national solution, national accountability, and national leadership. And we did not get that, and we are not getting that even today. So I'm going to take a long walk, get a breath of fresh air, because this stream fired me up. If you enjoyed Angry Nerd Reacts, please like and share. Subscribe. If you really want to make my day, become a member, because I'm going to take that money and I'm going to promote this channel and we're going to grow it so that we speak truth to lunacy and rely on data and facts and call bullshit where we see it. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, nerds. Peace out, brothers.